Hello to the people of YouTube, I'm TFL Wilderness and welcome to my channel and welcome to this month's end of month bot haul, the bot haul for November 2020. Right, yep, got a selection of items that I've picked up this month. It's a fairly mediocre haul this month. I've only got 9 items to show you, but there's quite a wide variety of stuff and there's some items of interest here which you might find interesting as I go through this haul with you. A little bit of a... I'm going to put this in at the front of the video actually, because I totally forgot all about this last month. Back in September, I got into debt, so to speak. I had that pre-order deposit, balance payment for the Mastermind Creations tour that. Not in demand. It was a kapow sprung on me at the end of the month, and I had to pay it. It was like to the tune of 175 quid, and it put me over budget, massively over budget for my September haul, and I had a deficit or a debt to the tune of like 111 quid over, and I used up all my leftover sort of cash pots, and it just put me way over. Anyway, so I was in debt, so I set myself the task of repaying my outstanding debt over the preceding months to the end of the year. So in October, which I forgot to mention last month, I did actually pay off a huge chunk of it. I actually paid off, nearly 62 quid, so more than half of what was actually, I was owing. Well, I wasn't owing anybody, but it's just a figurative figure. So I paid off over half, and I had like just under 50 quid left to pay, £49.44, which I took forward to this month. Now I had it in mind, I could, I have this £400 a month, budget that I work to with my bot buying. And what I did was I subtracted the £49.44 that I was trying to save, and then whatever's left is the money I've got to spend on this haul. But I could also have split that £49.44 in two and spread the payment over November and December. But I had the two options there, so I had two prices on my master list of money left over as I was going throughout the month and buying stuff, if that makes any sense. So coming into this month, I will hopefully I will remember at the end of the month to tell you what happened as regards to that. But I just wanted to put it at the front of the video just to make you aware that I overspent massively in September. Yes, I've paid some of that back in October, and I've got whatever left to pay off in November and December. Right. So this month's haul, like I said, 9 items have turned up. Let's get on with it, shall we? So I'll do all these in chronological order. So the first thing to arrive was a bot that sort of carried over from last month. I ordered it last month from a seller in the UK. And for whatever reason, he was a bit lackadaisical in shipping it. The reason I bought it as and when was because I was hoping he would get it shipped out and sent to me before the end of the month. And there was, I can't remember what date it was I ordered it. It was about like around about sort of the, so was it 17th, 18th, 20th of the month. So there was ample time for him to ship it, to me before the end of the month. But for whatever reason, he waited a couple, after I bought the item, it was a couple of days before he did the shipping dispatch notification, and he didn't actually ship it until a few days later. And, and the eBay, send you that thing where they estimate the shipping time. So he actually dispatched it after it should have arrived according to eBay, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I was patiently waiting for it to turn up, and it actually turned up on November the 2nd. Now, I've done an unboxing on it, and I've actually built it because it was a kit bot. It's the Warbotron WB03F Rex Crystal version. Now, when I unboxed this, it came with a set of instructions and a bunch of plastic sprues to put it together. Now, I didn't need this figure because I've got the Warbotron original, and I've also got the oversized KO version, who's in here somewhere. So I've got 2 versions of this mould already, and I didn't really need another one. But I saw it, and it was towards the end of the month, and it was like, you know, I've got a bit of money left over. It looks kind of interesting, and a transparent Grimlock. You know, I thought, yeah, why not? So there's the original one, and there's the what's. I mean, I've got his weapons plugged in, but there's the crystal one. Now, when it arrived, you get the instructions, and you go through them, and they're like, yeah, it's got the transformation and the build instructions in it. Looks all well and good. And then you look on the... Let's get the autofocus. I don't know whether you can see, but it's actually got the Warbotron stamped. Actually got it stamped on the sprues. So that made me think it was an original. However, it didn't come in the box because the Warbotron original comes in a box like this. And I decided to get my original box out and have a look and do a comparison between this version to see what differences were. And actually, when I opened the box, obviously inside I've got the instructions and, you know, the leftover accessories. I've got rid of the sprues. But it's when I compared the instructions, yeah. Right, okay. Here's the original Warbotron instructions, and here's the instructions that came with this transparent one. It's a KO, yeah. So that confirmed to me that this is not a KO, because I can't remember Warbotron actually doing a transparent version. I can't remember reading anywhere or seeing anywhere that they've done a transparent version. Now, to be fair, this figure, the Warbotron original, has been knocked off right royal. There's so many. I mean, KBB, was it KBB? That's done a knockoff of this. You can buy it pre-assembled from some KO companies. Some KO companies do the kit version. There's like Zanjiang did the oversized version where they did all those mold improvements to it. So yeah, this has been knocked off right royal. So it stands to reason that somebody would do a transparent version of it. So yeah, so I looked at the instructions. What are the differences? Well, obviously, the Warbotron one has actually got writing on it, and you go inside, and it's got all the text. It actually has a list of the like the websites and like the email, Facebook address in there. The original one doesn't have that. So basically, what they've done is they've removed all the Warbotron branding from the instructions, and they've oversized them. Now, going through the instructions, there is a fault in the instructions. There's like missing steps. When you get to this page where it's showing you how to put the thing together, it doesn't tell you how to assemble and fit the come on, there we go. It doesn't tell you how to fit and assemble the kibble wings. There's no instructional, assembly steps for them, for putting them together and fitting them to the figure, which I thought was a bit weird. I mean, it's fairly easy to work it out. And these, the KO instructions have got, they're basically printed exactly the same. They've just removed all the Warbotron logos from them. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. The sprues have got the Warbotron logo stamped into them, but I think when they obviously got hold of the original mould and they redid them, and it would have cost money to blank out the Warbotron logos, so they didn't bother doing it. They just did a straight pressing with the original moulds, and then just did a quick oversized on the instructions, removing all the Warbotron logos. So, and it didn't come in a nice little presentation box like the original. So there we go. That was a little disappointing. Because of that, my opinion of it went down a little bit, because when I found out it was a KO. I mean, the reason why I went into the instructions, because when I do these assembly videos, when I put these things together, I like to time myself building them, and I wanted to see whether I actually made a note of that in the Warbotron instructions. Now, actually, I have actually put them down. I didn't actually have any. I didn't actually mark them down for the Warbotron original, but I actually did a video when I did the review of that. I did an assembly video, and I've got time indexes on the photographs, so I've got a rough idea. And it took me about an hour and 10 minutes to put this guy together, and I timed myself putting the transparent one together, and it took me 1 hour 24 minutes. So it took me a little bit longer, but then again, I was taking my time, snipping the parts off the sprues, cleaning off all the sprue marks and stuff like that. Building this thing, well, it's transparent plastic, and there are certain bits on it whereby you're putting them on and you're getting stress marks appearing. Most notable, clipping these the kibble wings onto there, you get stress marks on them. Clipping on one of the dyno arms, it stressed out pretty bad when I was clipping it onto the ball joint. And these figures have a design flaw. The ball joints on the legs are very tight. You clip them together, and if you leave the figure, I mean, like that one, ooh, they seize up. And on the original one, this leg is loose because I had to fix it because I sheared the ball joint off, and this leg has seized solid. And if I try to turn this leg, it will shear off just like the other one. So yeah, it's a bit of a design flaw on this mould. The hip ball joints, they tend to get stuck and seized up and shear off. So that is that. So that was the first thing that arrived. Right, yeah, 12 minutes going on about that. Right, next. Now, this month I decided I wanted to buy the Earthrise Wave 3 Deluxes. I wanted to get all of them, and that was what my main concentration of my haul this month. Now, obviously, I didn't pre-order them from In Demand or Kapow like most people do. When you go onto those sites, they're all sold out. So I had to hunt around, and I might have paid over the odds for a couple of the figures you're about to see. The first one that arrived on the 11th, Runamuck. Now, I got this guy. Where did I get this guy from? I haven't got my notes. Well, anyway, I paid $29.99 for this guy, so nearly 30 quid. Yeah, I mean, these things retail at £16.99. I paid way over the odds for it, nearly double what it goes for. But then again, this guy is very much hot property right now, as is the limited edition black repaint. You know, the runabout version as well. I've actually ordered that from an eBay seller in the Far East, and again paid like scalper money for it. So yeah, so I paid a pretty penny for this guy. But I love this dude. He's so awesome. Now, the reason I like this guy so much is that they've put so much attention to detail into this mould. Now, the Battle Chargers, they had very limited exposure back in G1 in the Marvel G1 comics. They were only in one issue of the Marvel G1 comics, and in fact, I've got it here. Where is it? Decepticon Graffiti. Yeah, so they basically, Megatron summons them to the Battle Chargers to Earth personally send a message to Optimus Prime to basically meet Megatron for a fight to the death. And Soundwave's basically saying, "Oh, you could send him you could send him a radio communication." And Megatron's like, "No, I don't want to do that, and I want them to give my message in person." So, but the Battle Chargers don't give a shit about Megatron. They come to Earth. They just want to have a good time, and they're driving around. And they stop in this sort of like truck stop, and they see this family with this family with this kid who are doing like the grand tour around the American sites. And the kid, they're on like a vacation before they go back to school, and the kid, the young boy, he really doesn't want to be there. And then they're at this truck stop getting some food and having a rest, and he gets out the car and he goes up to a wall on this truck stop and he put "the vacations are the pits." He does graffiti on the wall, and his dad catches him and they scarper off. But the Battle Chargers are there. They see this kid doing this graffiti and they get an idea. I know. Let's follow these guys, see where they're going, and they go around all these sort of landmarks, doing the whole grand tour thing. And every time they stop at a special place, the Battle Chargers they spring up, and then they get these massive spray cans and they spray Cybertronian graffiti all over these landmarks, and it's quite funny. Eventually, Circuit Breaker and the Rat team get wise to this, and they try to ambush them at one of the places, and they get their arse kicked. And then the final battle is at the Statue of Liberty, and the Battle Chargers come up and they actually spray human graffiti on the Statue of Liberty. It says "Humans are wimps," and then Circuit Breaker has then done a deal with the other Autobots that she has basically captured and dismantled, and they form together to form this massive great combiner, this giant battle mech, and she comes in and then she fights the Battle Chargers and basically blows them up, and they fall into the sea, and that's the end of them. So they're only in it for one issue, but they're actually quite amusing. I really like they had a lasting effect. They were memorable characters, even though they were only in it for one issue. And I've actually done a bit of a research. They had very limited exposure in the G1 cartoon as well. I mean, all the clips that the Battle Chargers are in the G1 cartoon, you can literally put it in a 3.5 minute video. Every single clip of them, they were only in it, I think season 3. They were in it for a couple of episodes. But anyway, the attention to detail on this is amazing. I mean, the look of him. I mean, he's got these flappy sort of shins and legs, which the G1 toy had, and the character in the comic had. He's got that head sculpt with that big square sort of visor round his face. The chunky, and I love that. He's got the shoulder pylons, because the G1 toy had like hinge pieces on the shoulder pylons the way it transformed, and he has these like shoulder pylons. On they're not painted white. In my opinion, they should be painted white, but if you look in the comic, they're actually red. But there is that. He's got like the faux chests. So many, and then the other thing is you've got these wheels here, the heel spurs. Now the G1 toy, obviously, it was an automorph thing. It used to drive along and it used to sort of fold up in the middle. The front of the car became the robot, and the back of the car mechanism sort of became the legs. And this is homage to the G1 toy right here. The fact that when it folded up, you had all the 4 wheels were on the bottom of the figure. And if you look at the G1 comic design, it's got the heel wheels as well. So I love the fact that they've done that. There's so many little nods to the original character design in the G1 on this figure. It's unbelievable. I actually love it. I think it's great. And it's a great little figure in itself. It's got a decent transformation. The only thing that isn't quite so good is the alt mode. I mean, in the G1, the Battle Chargers alt modes, Runamuck, the white one, was he was like a mid-80s, like Pontiac Trans Am Firebird, like the Knight Rider car, but in white with gold stripes. And then Runabout he was a Lotus Esprit Turbo, but they've just done a like a spurious sort of like 1980s 90s style blocky sort of sports car, and that's the mould they've gone for. They've got the same mould for both cars. I don't think there's much in the way of moulding differences between the two. I know there's a difference in the head sculpts. I haven't got Runabout yet, but I know he's supposed to have some different, you know, sort of he's got like a little chin piece and a crest that goes across the top of his head. But I'm very impressed with this. I really, really like this. I think this thing is excellent. Yeah, I paid over the odds for it, but on the whole, it's a great little figure. I think it's really, really cool. And yeah, so I managed to get hold of him. So next, the following day, on the 12th, yeah, he arrived on the 11th, by the way. I got 2 Deluxes from the Earthrise Wave 3 Wave. I got Fasttrack and Trailbreaker. Now, I got these guys from, was it Cocktails and Comics? Went on eBay, they were selling them. They did have Sunstreaker, but he sold out, so I managed to get these guys. I paid $19.99 each for these. Yeah, again, a little bit more than the retail price, but when you look at it, if let's say you'd have bought these from In Demand, or yeah, if you'd have bought these guys from In Demand or Kapow, you would have had to pay the postage fee on them, because you know because In Demand it's like you have to pay a minimum of £50 to get free postage, and Kapow it's a minimum of £100. So you would have had to pay the postage fee. It's £2.50 for In Demand, and it's $2.95 for Kapow. So when you add that to the $16.99 retail price, you're paying over 20 quid for them. So getting these for $19.99, because they do free. Cocktails and Comics do free shipping unless you're buying comics, in which case they charge a £1.20 shipping fee. But anyway, so I got these guys. They're really good. Fasttrack, obviously, he is Scorponok, who's there. Yeah, he's like the little dude to go with Scorponok. He's a weaponizer. He comes apart. You can pull his legs off and his arms off, and you can plug him onto other figures. For as armor and weapon parts. He's a really cool little figure. He's got 2 Orc mode. He turns into a little like a little roller tank, and then he transforms into that massive, great sort of battle staff that Scorponok can wield. Fantastic little figure. Yeah, there's a gold version of it, which is supposed to go with the Black Zarak toy, but he looks pretty cool, but I got hold of him. And then Trailbreaker. Trailbreaker is one of my favourite characters from the G1. He didn't do much in the G1 comic. I never watched the G1 cartoon, but I was a fan of Trailbreaker because of his alt mode, because in the G1 he transformed into a like a mid-80s Toyota Hilux, and I love the Toyota Hilux. It's a great vehicle, and he transformed into one. This version kind of looks like a Hilux. It's got some of the styling cues of the Hilux, but it's a little bit blocky, a little bit too blocky. Yes, this is the hoist mold reworked for Trailbreaker. It's a really good figure. The robot mode looks awesome, decently engineered and articulated. When you transform it into robot mode, the hoist mold and the Trailbreaker mold have got that problem whereby they've got quite a high ground clearance for the vehicle, and you can see all the arms sort of tucked away underneath the front of the vehicle mode, and it just looks a little unsightly. But apart from that, he's a great figure, and I love Trailbreaker as a character because of the IDW Spotlight Trailbreaker comic. You've got to read that. It is so funny because he's on the Lost Light. This guy is a drunk. he's just drowning his sorrows with Energon, and he's always pissed up all the time. And yeah, he's got that ability where he can generate a force field, and he actually dies in the IDW. He gets killed by the DJD, but his Megatron basically steals his generator, his force field generator, and it comes useful when he's in the final conflict with the DJD in the Dying of the Light. So, yeah. So, I love this character. I've got quite a few molds of Trailbreaker. Yeah, he's got his original name back. They called him Trail Cutter in the Generations line. But, yeah, so I've got hold of him. He's a really cool figure. And then, so those two arrived on the 12th. And then the following day, on the 13th, got the final Deluxe from Wave 3. I got Sunstreaker. Now, this guy I ordered from In Demand. Was it In Demand? Again, I haven't got my... Yeah, I think I got him from In Demand. Because they had him in stock and I paid the price for him. Again, awesome figure. I know it's a heavy retool of the Sideswipe mould, but I mean, this thing is so good. I love it. Yeah, he's got the hollowness inside the legs, but that's just par for the course for most of these sort of Siege and Earthrise figures. But the rest of it is really cool. He's got the, you know, he's got the big engine air intake, you know, sort of backpack. The thing I like about him is you look at his feet. He's got like the front of the car, but then you flick him underneath. He's got the front of the car on the bottom of his feet and the top. So when you flip it up, it then becomes the front of the car, and then you flip it down, and it becomes his foot as well. That's really, really clever the way they did that. I love that. He looks like Sunstreaker. Again, Sunstreaker is another one of those characters from G1 who I'm a bit of a fan of. Again, in the Marvel G1 comics, Sunstreaker didn't do a lot. He got injured early on and spent most of his time in, you know, as an injured wreck in Ratchet's sort of sick bay. So he never did much in the Marvel G1. I know he had a bit of a part to play in the early IDW comics. He got he got kidnapped by the humans and taken apart, and and had a bit of a thing going on there. But he's still a great character, transformed into like a silver Lamborghini type vehicle. I mean, yeah, it's not exactly a Countach, but he looks great. He's a great little figure. The transformation's good. Alt mode's awesome, and a great little robot, and a great update and homage to the character of Sunstreaker. So, and he arrived on, like I said, he arrived on the 13th. So I've got all 4 figures from the Earthrise Wave 3. So that's pretty good. Right, next. Right, on the 16th. Generation Selects Earthrise G2 Voyager Megatron. Yeah, when I saw this, I thought, well, basically, I've got the Siege version, right? And it's an okay figure. It looks like G1 Megatron. The tank mode is a Cybertronian tank, so it's neither here nor there. But, you know, I bought it. And then they said they was doing an Earthrise version where the tank mode is looks more like a proper tank. It's got, you know, tracks on the side. It's got like a big gun. It looks pretty cool. But because it's basically a remold of this thing, and the robot mode looks pretty much the same. They made a few different styling updates to it. I couldn't justify buying basically the same toy twice. I couldn't justify it because it just the similarities were so close that I couldn't bring myself to buy the Earthrise Megatron. But then I saw they was doing a G2 recolor, and it was like, hell yes. And I just happened to go on to Kapow when they still had it in stock, and I went boosh, pre-order, and it arrived on the 16th. Now, a great rework of the Siege mould, fantastic. Yeah, doing it in G2 colours, it looks really good. I decided to get my G2 Megatron out for comparison. Yes, there are differences. Most notably, yeah, G2 Megatron has the front of the tank as his chest, whereas Earthrise Megatron has got the typical, you know, sort of flat panel for, you know, G1 Megatron. So that's the difference, because, you know, the front of the tank is back here. Also, the other thing is he hasn't got the gun, the shoulder gun. Now, this guy comes with this sort of parts forming piece, which is, it's the gun barrel for the front of the tank mode, and then it's also got the sword, which is supposed to emulate, you know, G1 Megatron's sword that he came with. And then you have this extra panel which sort of plugs into the back of the tank mode, and then it sort of plugs into there. it can be a shield, it can be a sword, but it's a bit unsightly. Why they couldn't have split this off and have it so that this thing plugged into his shoulder? Because if they'd had a port up here, and if the gun barrel had separated from the sword was a separate piece that he can hold in his hand, and then the gun barrel had a port where it could, sort of plug onto his shoulder like the shoulder cannon of the original, that would have been something, but they didn't go down that route, unfortunately. So you ended up with this piece. So that was a little disappointing. But aside from that, I really like this thing. I mean, yeah, it comes with a purple fusion cannon, which the G2 version didn't have. But it's a decent. I mean, they've pretty much nailed the colours. I mean, yeah, the purple's a little darker, but the green is a good match, and the head sculpt. I mean, I watched Mr. Was it Wasp Shot's review of this thing when he did his unboxing, and he was complaining profusely about the head sculpt. But when you look, I mean, I like the head sculpt on this. It's all right, but actually, when you look at the Siege original and compare it with the G2 head, yeah, this is more sort of G2 accurate. This head sculpt, because it's got those sort of extra sort of wing pieces hanging out the back of the buckets, the hats, so to speak. So it would have been a better match for G2's head sculpt than the one that's actually come with it. So why they gave it a different head sculpt for this version, we don't know. But the painting of it's good. It's all right. I like it. To me, it looks like G2 Megatron, even though there's so many differences with the G2 original. It's not quite there, but still, it's all right. I don't regret buying it. It's a decent enough figure, and it's a great update on the Siege mold. But I didn't want to get the Earthrise Megatron because the colours would have it would have been too close to this in terms of colours. So getting the G2 version was a bit of a no-brainer for me, to be honest, and I really like it. It's all right. It's great. And I've actually got hold of one of those exclusive figures that they're doing at the moment, where they're online exclusives. You got to get in there quick to get them, else they sell out. I know this guy is still available. If you're on the fence about getting one, he is still available in a few places. But he's a decent figure, and got hold of him, and he's a decent homage to the original, though not quite 100% accurate. So got hold of him. Right, so, and yeah, he arrived on the 16th. Right, now, 18th. TF Dream Factory GOD07 Roadbuster. Now, this guy, I don't know why I decided to get this guy. I mean, I've got the Darko Moon original with the MechTech weapon. Part of the reason is you look at this, his alt mode, and it's a NASCAR, right? It's a full-on NASCAR. It's got all the branding on it. It's a smooth, race car. But in Dark of the Moon, the wreckers look like this. And this is Top Spin. They got what's called Stealth Force, where they have all these engines and guns sticking out, and on screen they always appeared in their Stealth Force modes. They never appeared in their NASCAR version. But part of the deal that Hasbro did for the licensing of the vehicles, it was a hodgepodge of like some of them came in Stealth Force, some of them came in NASCAR mode, and they did 3 different scales with the wreckers. They did the Legion class ones, they did the Deluxe ones, and they did the Human Alliance ones. And in the Human Alliance, they didn't do a Human Alliance Top Spin. They only did a Leadfoot and a Roadbuster. And Human Alliance Leadfoot is Stealth Force mode, whereas Leadfoot is NASCAR mode. And it's the same with the little Legion class. You've got they did all 3 of the characters in the Legion class. You've got Leadfoot and Roadbuster in Stealth Force mode, and top spin was in NASCAR mode. And then the Deluxes, these were the only Deluxe figures that actually got released in the West. The Leadfoot mould was not released in the West. And yeah, he was an exclusive Japanese release and goes for stupid money. I've got a KO of it, but, you know, it was a thing. But anyway, KO Company, or wow, fourth party company, as some people are calling it, TF Dream Factory. They are doing sort of KO stroke third party figures. This is an original mould. It's kind of similar to this toy, but not quite. They're slightly overscaled. They're more of a Voyager size than a Deluxe. They're quite large. Looks amazing in both modes. Unfortunately, the transformation is not that great. The transformation's a bit fiddly, and build quality, these shoulder pieces are really, you know, they're really flappy. The design, they're on these, I mean, they come off, they're on these little sort of linkages that clip on, and they don't clip on particularly well, but they're very loose, and I'm not a huge fan of that particular design choice that they did on this mould. But other than that, he looks great. He looks great in alt mode. He looks great in robot mode. It's just the build quality in a few places, and these like the design of these shoulder pieces lets it down somewhat. So yeah, I'm not overly impressed with this guy. He has his issues. He does look great. He was worth getting. I mean, like I said, he looks great in both modes. Just the transformation and the build quality is a little iffy, but he's all right. He's okay. I got hold of him. And that was that. Right, so next. Only two more to go. Right, the next one. Hero Hobby QA01 Tiny Magnus. Now, there's been... apparently this thing's getting reissued. Now, this figure came out in 2016. It's 4 years old. And I can remember an eBay seller by the name of NetClow had it in his shop for ages, and I was looking at it. I'm a fan of, you know, Ultra Magnus. Got a bunch of Ultra Magnuses in my display here, but a super deformed Ultra Magnus. I mean, you know, hell yes, I'll have some of that. But I never actually got around to buying it, and when I was looking to buy it, it had sold out, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I had an eBay search going for it, and then all of a sudden, one popped up with Mr. Badabobo 00712. He got them in stock, and so I made a play on it and got one. Now, he's one of two figures this month that got customs hits. The last two figures that you're going to see got customs hits, and this guy, he got a small customs hit of about £1, £11.10 or whatever it was. So yeah, that was a bit of a pain, but when you look at the price I paid for it overall, which was, instead of paying like 40 something quid, I paid 50 something quid for it. It was in the ballpark of reality. You know, this thing is kind of rare, and difficult to get hold of, and you know, some people are taking advantage of that fact and, you know, doing scalper money on it. So I was quite satisfied with the price I paid for it. Now, look at this thing. It looks awesome. And it transforms. It transforms into the car carrier. Yeah, it's a super deformed Ultra Magnus with a humongous head that transforms. Looks amazing in both modes. And it's got the same issue that you know, Roadbuster, that Dream Factory Roadbuster that I just showed you had. It's got exactly the same issues. It looks amazing in both modes, but the transformation and the build quality lets this figure down. I mean, the biggest thing is, like, you can see that's nice and tight, and this one's a bit loose. When you stand it up, it falls over backwards because this knee is a bit loose. He's top heavy, obviously, and the build quality on some of the, I mean, he's got a lot of very small pins and pegs for pegging him together in various modes, and it's a bit dodgy. He does have die cast on him. He's got, you know, sort of die cast sort of feet, and he does have an ankle tilt, but it's just a toe tilt. So when you're trying to do him in a dynamic pose, he's not exactly flat-footed, and it's difficult to get him to stand up properly. He does have a face change gimmick. You pull the head up, you fold that down, and then you pull this other face out, and you flip it down. And then he's got a screaming face. I mean, articulation's okay on it. It's a little bit restricted because of his bulk. But he just looks amazing. It's just, again, the build quality and, you know, the build quality and the transformation just let this guy down a little bit. He's not so much fun to transform, a little bit scary to transform because of all the small pegs and ports that you got to fiddle with. And his articulation, well, isn't the best. But I wanted to get one anyway, and the opportunity came up for me to get one. He's okay. He's great. He looks great. The price I paid for him is all right. But overall, I'm slightly disappointed by him because of, you know, those issues that I highlighted. You know, the transformation and the build quality let it down. I mean, this is a figure it's 4 years old. This came out in 2016. And I noticed they've done a couple of other figures. They've done a Grimlock as well, a Grimlock character that transforms, super deformed Grimlock that transforms into the robot mode. I was tempted to get that because Badabobo's got that in stock as well. The price you can get these things at is around about sort of 40-45 quid. But obviously then you have to pay a little bit of postage on top, and you run the risk of getting a customs hit right now. So I got him, and he was the second to last figure I got this month. And the final figure. Now, Hello Carbot Knight. Now, I've been after one of these things for a few years now, and whenever I've tried to get one, I've had problems and issues. Like a couple of years ago, I tried to buy one of these off a seller called TA Planet off eBay twice, and both times my auction purchase got cancelled because they were complaining that the figure was broken, and they cancelled my order and gave me my money back. And that was with the original TA Planet, which is a Korean-based website, and then they got the TA Planet, was it UK, or because they got different versions of TA Planet. They've got TA Planet, which is the Korean one, and they got TA Planet. They got TA Planet EU. I think they got TA Planet AU, which is the Australian version. They got TA Planet UK. So I tried to buy it twice from the same seller and got the same problem. So they basically tried to sell me the same defective toy twice. And since then, this guy, he basically sold out. The original production run was in 2016, I think, when these guys first came out. Again, 4 years ago. I've got Pawn, I've got Pone, haven't got Rook. I've recently got the little mini guys, the little mini versions of these guys, but I wanted to get hold of this guy. Now, I paid nearly 60 quid for this. I got it off 11th Street. I've had a couple of orders from 11th Street before. They got through okay, no problems. And you can get the figure really cheap, but then you get hit by their shipping price. The 11th Street shipping price is quite dear. You have to pay to have the item shipped in the country of Korea itself from the seller to the distribution centre, and then they repackage it and then they send it internationally. And both times, and this time, I got a slight shipping refund because they can't calculate the shipping price properly. But then it arrived in the UK. It was from Parcel Force that did the dealing on this. Yeah, and it went through customs, got charged once, came out, went back around again, it got charged a second time, so it's been charged, it's had the custom fee applied to it twice, and I think I know what happened there, because then I finally got the notification from, Parcel Force, oh, you've got to pay of customs fee on this to the tune of 22 quid. So yeah, in the end, I ended up paying 74, 76 quid for this. Way too much, way too much. And when I get a customs hit and it basically, it ruins my opinion of a figure. I mean, I was a bit reluctant to pay the price I paid for this thing to start with, because these are one-step changes. Right? They're one-step changes. Obviously he's got his gun. And then you've got to fold the feet arms down. But there you go. There he is in robot mode. And these guys, they're leader class one-step changes. And to me, these things, they retailed them at the same price as the fully articulated figures. And I think that was wrong. These guys should have retailed about sort of like 25, 30 quid instead of, well, I'm going on the eBay price instead of like, you know, sort of like, instead of like 50, 55 quid. So, but anyway, but the price I actually paid for this guy, because they've reissued them lately, the price I actually paid for this guy was, it was just under 30 quid. But then obviously I had to pay the shipping price, and then I got the customs fee applied to it. Actually, this guy's not so bad. I actually quite like him. I mean, he's decently articulated. I mean, he's got a bloody waist joint, and he's got wrist swivels. Now, I will be doing a review on this guy. I haven't done it yet. I will be doing a review on him next month, so look forward to that. But because he got a customs hit, yeah, he went down in my estimation because of that. So yeah, that pretty much ruined my opinion of this guy, even though he's not such a bad figure in hand. But, you know, the price I paid for him, then the customs hit. Why? Well, why do I always get customs hits on the figures that I least want them on? It always happens that way. I mean, I've gone through and I've done an appraisal of all the customs hits I've had over the years. Yeah, they're few and far between, but they always seem to happen, usually on Korean figures that, you know, can be quite pricey to get hold of. And I finally get hold of one at what I think is a decent price, and then it comes into the country, and then UK Revenue and Customs slap. And because it came through Parcel Force, I had to pay the Parcel Force bollocks £12 processing fee instead of the Royal Mail £8 processing fee. And when I looked at the tax that I paid on this, I paid over £10 tax on him. But when you look at the price that was on the shipping label, it was like $35, which, you know, income tax is 20% in this country. So I should have paid just over £5 in VAT. But I ended up paying over 10 quid in VAT. So something odd happened there, but it did go round and get charged, or it had the customs fee redone on it. So it's yeah, something odd went happen there. So I reckon I paid way too much for this thing. I paid over the odds for it. But there we go. That's a thing. And that's it for this haul. I mean, 48 minutes. That's pretty good. I was hoping to keep this video under an hour. Now, let's do the first and worst before we go any further. It took me a little bit of working out, but I decided first and worst. Really impressed with this guy. Like I said, the styling cues they've done on it homages the G1 toy so massively. I'm really, really impressed with him. He's an awesome little figure. And this guy, he's not a bad figure in himself, but because he's an oversized one-step changer, I paid way over the odds for it. Yes, I got a customs hit on it, and that automatically ruins my opinion of it. So yeah, he's the worst thing I got this month. So that's them guys. Right, now before I sign off, I wanted to go on about the debt situation. Now, as I said at the front of the video, went into debt in September to the tune of 111 quid. In October, I managed to pay off 61 quid of that debt, and I had like just under 50 quid left of the debt to repay. So I came into this month with, you know, this, you know, £49.44 to save, and I managed to save it handily. Come the end of the month, I saved over 50 quid. So I paid off my debt, so I'm now back in the black. I'm out of the red, back in the black, and I've got £3.73 left over that I can carry forward into next month. So yeah, next month. Next month I will have my full £400 budget to play with. Now, yes, next month. I had plans for December. I had some pretty plans, things all laid out for December. Because in December I have a couple of traditions, for want of a better word, that I like to do. I like to do a pre-Christmas toy hunt, which I usually do in the week before Christmas. I go around the shops, go around Coventry. I used to go to Toys R Us, Smiths, and then I used to go into the Coventry Town Centre, go to Forbidden Planet, maybe hit up some B&M stores and maybe some supermarkets. Because the whole idea of doing the pre-Christmas toy hunt is that you like to think that in the weeks leading up to Christmas, the shops are all bursting with the latest products that they want to sell to people before the big day itself, and you like to think that it's your best chance of getting the maximum amount or the maximum variety and the latest products, Transformer products on the shelf, to buy just before Christmas. So that's the reason why I do that. And then the other thing I like to do is the NEC Toy Fair on December 27th. So yeah, I've been doing that every year since I started back in 2014. It's an annual tradition. I always do the December 27th Toy Fair. However, 2020, year of the COVID. Yes, year of the coronavirus. It's basically put a stopper on everything. And we've just literally, in a couple of days' time, we're coming out of the Wave 2 lockdown. And the government, in their infinite wisdom, have decided to introduce this tier system. And we come out of the lockdown in a couple of days, they've upgraded the tier for a number of areas, including my own. Now, in my area, when they first introduced the tier system, we were a tier 1. We were quite safe. Then I think they upgraded us more recently to a tier 2, and now we're a tier 3. When we come out of lockdown 2, we're going to be a tier 3, which means I'm not allowed to go out. Basically, I've got to stay home. I'm allowed to go out shopping for groceries. I'm allowed to go to and from work, but I'm not supposed to go out. So it's basically lockdown conditions. So it's basically screwed up my plans for December. I mean, I doubt if I'll be able to do my pre-Christmas toy hunt because of this reason. And NEC Toy Fair has been cancelled anyway because they're done by a company called Barry Potter Fairs, and all Barry Potter Fairs have been suspended until further notice. That includes the December one. I mean, they usually have 4 NEC Toy Fairs throughout the year. They have one in February, which I actually went to, and then they have one in sort of like April, May, and then one in sort of September, October, and then they have one in December. So all the other 3 have been cancelled. No more NEC Toy Fair this year. So can't do that. Now, I had planned to go down to see my mate, Mr. James Lai, because he's recently moved house. Him who from Maximil of Toys. He's recently moved house from Portsmouth to east of London. And I had arranged to go and see him because I've got something for him. I went to an NEC Toy Fair and bought him a DX9 Freeman. That sort of transforming figure of Bastion from Overwatch. I got one myself and he wanted one, so it was kind of hard to get hold of it without paying the scalper money for it. I managed to get hold of one for 80 quid. I bought it at NEC Toy Fair, I think it was September last year. He paid me for it over, and I've been patiently waiting to get it to him. I should have gone to see him at TF Nation this year, but TF Nation didn't happen because of COVID. And I've not had the opportunity to go down and see him because of lockdown and COVID reasons. I had planned to go and see him before Christmas. I mean, we had a date penciled in for the 20th of December, but now that me and him are both in tier 3 areas, that ain't going to happen. So that's put a scupper on that. So next month, I'm going to have to go to the plan Z for my purchases. I've got a full budget going forwards, but I don't know what I'm going to buy. So there's a few things I'm looking to buy online. I'm not going to do any international parcels because, you know, it's December, it's the end of the year. You know, the stuff probably won't arrive until the new year. So I've got a couple of items that are outstanding. I've got a pre-order with Kapow that waiting for notification of it's been shipped. And I've got the other, you know, battle charger, you know, Earthrise battle charger that I've ordered off a seller in the Far East. Don't know when that's going to arrive because he said it's been dispatched, but he says, oh, it's not coming out till the 30th of November, which is today. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, and so I'll be, you know, looking to buy stuff, you know, from UK sellers. I've been looking at Garut Camaro again, looking at buying a few bits from him. So I don't know what my haul's going to be next month. It might not be very good because of those reasons, because, you know, December's basically a washout because of COVID. So yeah, got that going forwards into next month. We'll have to wait and see what happens. It's not looking good, but oh well, we'll have to suck it and see. So that's been me, TFR Wilderness. Hopefully you've enjoyed this haul. If you can stand me going waffle, then and you've made it to the end of the video, then all credit to you. So that's been me. I've been TFR Wilderness. Catch you all next time. Ta-da.
It's a big blue egg.